What is the worst thing you have done to have sex? I invited a guy I was dating over to watch a movie, even though I knew the file was corrupted and the movie wouldn't play properly. So you'd think we had sex? No, because the guy was a motherfucking engineer and he proceeded to download and install the latest version of VLC player, then a good version of the movie, until he got everything right. We watched the movie, then he went home. Fuck. Engineers, successfully freaking up Xi times for as long as I can remember. Excuse me for just 1 second. I fake an Irish accent, pretty well mind you. I forgot that I was faking it the next morning. In my first relationship we decided to get a little adventurous one weekend when I was home from college. We rented a hotel room, I tied up my GF, blindfolded her, walked across the street to a Wendy's, bought dinner, came back, and fingered her while feeding her a Frosty. It was the most awkward experience of my life. But damn it, she loved it. Well, I mean she got a Frosty. I think she's the winner in that situation. Well, not entirely on topic, but I once had sex with a girl so I could play on her piano afterwards. That's the worst thing I've done to play piano. Fuck bears, play piano. A guy I knew from college took a girl on a late dinner date. She parked her car at his house and he drove to dinner. While at dinner, he called and had her car towed so that she was forced to spend the night. Stay classy. A student of the DENNIS system. My friend who was visiting from New Zealand and I met 2 girls in Chicago at a late night bar. I faked a New Zealand accent and we pretended to be cousins. Girls loved it. We went our separate ways that night and I continued the accent into the morning. Edit. I should add that the next day my friend was laughing at how bad my accent was and how it sounded Australian. Also at one point the girls started to catch on and asked, you guys sound a little different. My buddy made the save and said he was from the coast and I was from the inland. Never questioned it again. Edit 2. Just so this is not left as a cliffhanger, we talked for like 10 minutes in the morning, then I left like a bat out of hell. Never saw or talked to her again. No regrets. My roommate has to fake an Australian accent every time he sees a girl he hooked up with. He ate breakfast with her roommate in the morning and had to make up a bunch of bullshit about Australia while sober. My best friend was dating this psychopath who cheated on her multiple times before she dumped him. A few weeks later, he kept trying to get back with her. She turned him down every time. So instead, he asked if they could have one last night of passion, exact words, together to get over her and he would leave her alone. She jokingly told him, yeah, if you tattoo my name on your ass. He did. Showed her the next day. Did he get his night of passion? No. I watched Failure to Launch in the theater. That's just disgusting. I'm a guy and I once got my ears pierced because a girl wanted to get hers done and I saw it as an opportunity to hang out. Edit. Did bang her. I met someone off 4chan. Hour later I cooked her dinner, then into the sack we dove. I would never trust 4chan for something like this. How big was her D? Obligatory Family Feud video. Those guys should be taking notes from the women. Oh, so that's how I get it. This is the opposite, but I had sex with a guy to get at his Xbox 360 and play Fable II. I have Fable II. I picked a mushroom and put it behind a woman's ear, then kissed her. It was supposed to be a flower. I couldn't find a flower. Sniff, so romantic. The dishes. My frick buddy of 6 months one day said she didn't just want to be a frick buddy and wanted more. Told her she was now my girlfriend just to shut her up and get it in. We're now married and have a kid. Edit. Decided to post a pic for fun and from the lengthy discussion below. http://imgur.com/hzoip. Haha. She got you good. Daddy, tell me the story of how you asked mommy out. Well son, I wanted to put it in her butt, but she wouldn't let me if I didn't make it Facebook official. I met a girl in town whilst out for drinks one night. I was very drunk, gave her my number and she called me the following week and asked me over for X. Couldn't remember what she looked like. When I got there, things were going great. We were getting to it when her 2-year-old son, I knew nothing about this kid being in the house, started screaming. As she was putting him back to bed there was a terrible banging on the house window. Looked outside and apparently her baby's father had turned up wielding a machete. What was worse is that she had a direct panic alarm to the police station as he'd been violent in the past. Within minutes the armed police turned up and a standoff ensued. After the guy was tasered and arrested they wanted to interview me. I'd already given the girl a false name which was awkward. Once they were done I left without saying goodbye thinking I'd get the hell out of there even though no actual X had taken place, only to find my car blocked in by police vehicles and I had to go back in the house to ask them to move. Anyway, I went drinking the following weekend, bumped into the same girl and ended up back at her house again balls deep, which was probably the worst thing I could have done. Sleep with someone who I didn't find attractive or nice at all. She was into me and I just wanted to have X again and she was an easy option. Edit. Seems like a lot of guys suffer from non-masturbatable rest pressure and are ready to frick anything within reach. Same. Bonus. She had great tits and could suck chrome off a bumper. Edit. I really hope my GF doesn't see this. Went home with one girl, established she probably wasn't going to have X with me, so slept with her friend instead. A friend of mine once brought a drunk girl home with the intention of having X with her. He left her in the living room with his roommate while he went to pee. When he came back she was giving the roommate a BJ. That has got to suck. You gotta do what you gotta do. Paid? TSS, yeah. Why mean like you paid a visit to the store or something? I dunno, I'm just riffing. Double desperation oxsuckers. Original comment, at least you paid with money instead of your soul like everyone else in this thread. It's all well and good ding about and making jokes with editing until it dawns on you that somebody somewhere actually paid for that Reddit gold. Lesson learned, Chipper has had his fun now. I was at a friend's house. Convinced a girl to come have X with me in the bed of a girl she didn't like, who was a roommate there. The other girl was not there at the time, obviously. One of the hottest experiences of my life. No regrets on that one. Fucked her friend so she would frick me out of jealousy. I'd try this, but I don't think I can find somebody's friend who would frick me first. If you wanna be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. Shit that works. It, the adult version of what you would do for a Klondike bar? I don't regret it, but the stories here did make me remember this. I was sleeping with an ex who still loved me. I'd often give her a booty call when I was horny and she rarely refused me. I'd left it a while and called her somewhat out of the blue and it took some serious persuading to get her to agree to some fun times. It was during these fun times that we ended up in a 69. Things were going really well and she had quite the orgasm. After which, to my surprise, she got up off of me, handed me a roll of toilet paper from the side, said finish yourself off, asshole, and left. Needless to say I did. I've respected that woman incredibly ever since. Yeah. I've got a couple of these. I told an American girl I was related to royalty and she lapped it up. I had been seeing a girl who had some pretty intense jealousy issues and we'd broken it off. One night when I was bored I texted her telling her about how I was out with my friends and an old FWB was in the bar with us. After a few back and forth she asked me to come round on my way home. I'd been in my living room watching The Office with my flatmate the whole time. A girl was convinced I was in a gay relationship with my friend. I let her think that I was because I found her quite annoying. At the end of the night I let her turn me, then used my homosexuality as an excuse to never have to actually date her. I'm a terrible, terrible person. Edit. That last story is now worth more than half of my karma. You guys are unbelievable. Wore a girl's underwear. She wanted to take a picture. Fuck that. She was smoking hot though. I was drunk and about 20 years old. Wait, so the bad part was wearing women's underwear. What was so bad about that, exactly? Especially for the sexing. I've dressed up in drag on multiple occasions at a woman's request. Pretty fun actually. I remember someone else on Reddit once said they put nicotine patches on their girlfriend while they had sex in order to get her addicted to him. Can't remember what thread it was, but I'm pretty sure it was an AskReddit thing. But imo, that takes the cake. Not ex, but anyways, I was at the courthouse with my ex getting the divorce finalized. I picked her up so we go for lunch as the court had lunch break and we're in the car talking and I start sweet talking her saying you never know 10 years down the road blah blah. She leans over, starts full out making out with me. It led to me going down on her in the car and a fantastic BJ where she got cum on her fancy blouse and pants only to have to go back in the courthouse to sign the papers to end it all. I wish I could say I felt bad, but I have no soul and she put me through hell. Called my ex a month after we broke up and convinced her we never had breakup ex and that we wouldn't find closure if we didn't frick one last time. She saw it as a chance for us to get back together, and let's just say it didn't turn out well. I hate myself sometimes. Fuck. Brutal. Get married. At the time I didn't believe in ex before marriage. This implies you now do believe in ex before marriage. Senior year of high school, one of my buddies starts talking to this sophomore chick and asks how much money he would have to pay her to give him a blowjob. She says I don't know. Like 20, to which my friend responds what about 15 at this point. My buddy proceeds to talk her down to 5, 3 up front and the other 2 if it's good. He only gave her 3. Speech skill 100. Called my ex-BF at the time a pussy if he didn't come to my house. He can't stand that word. It was 3 AM. I knew he'd have ex just to prove he's not a pussy. He's a pussy. He's a pussy for letting that get to him. Some guy at a party was telling everyone that I was giving out ecstasy was cyclobenzaprine, so this girl comes up and asks if she can have a pill. I glad oblige and she grabs my hand and drags me to the beer pong table, and after about 20 minutes she said she felt it kickin' and dragged me off into the wild pink yonder. She also ended up sucking my buddy off in her car, so there's that. Well, even if you're handing out muscle relaxers, those can still put you in an altered mental state. So maybe she didn't know what X was supposed to feel like. There was this girl who was pretty into me, but I wasn't really into her. I acted like I was interested in her to get into her pants. That's pretty bad to begin with, but it gets a little worse. So this girl is really into anime ambition and looking dudes, and I guess I fit the build. I'm pretty slender and have long hair for a guy. As a side effect of her liking this kind of guy, she's also into guys cross-dressing. Anyway, I had been sleeping with her for a while, and I really wanted a blowjob, so we were kind of hanging out and I mentioned that I wanted one, and she said that she didn't like giving them. I asked what I could possibly do to get one, and she told me that she always wanted to dress a guy up like a girl. So I let her. Shaved my body hair, wore a dress and everything. Turns out people who don't like giving blowjobs aren't good at giving them. 3/10 would not cross-dress again. My friend let a girl who was smoking hot, like an easy 9, put a silk blanket in his age-ring ex, and told him to tell her when he was coming. He did, and she pulled it out and he shit himself all over the bed. I swear to God this is true. She admits to it openly as well. Used a Bible verse to convince a girl to swallow. Edit for more info. Genesis 38:9 And Onan knew that the offspring would not be his, so it came about that when he went into his brother's wife, he wasted his seed on the ground. In order not to give offspring to his brother, I was hanging out with a somewhat religious lady friend. The type of girl that would give me a BJ, but then inform you she was saving her virginity for marriage. On one such occasion, I requested her to do such a favor, saving on cleanup. She declined, which I informed her was a sin. Jesus ho, how praised our Lord. Genesis 38:9 If it's not in you, it will eventually touch the ground. That's a sin, Jesus ho, wooer. OHH my gosh. Does it taste bad? Praised our Lord. Guess we'll find out if it matters. She was blonde. Pretended that I didn't know she had ex earlier that night with my roommate. Bartered for it in a game of Monopoly. She owed me rent and couldn't pay, so we worked out a deal. One time, when I was 19, I lied that my entire immediate family died in a car accident so a girl would feel sorry for me. I was at the local gym in a hot tub just feeling sorry for myself. I was actually crying because I had just been fired for stealing. The worst part was that it freaking worked. I used to be a pathetic excuse for a human being. Bunny. Got drunk. People don't look the same when drunk. Too bad they do the morning after. I would start a fight with my GF cause I knew that it would lead to angry makeup ex edit. We are no longer together. Am I in the only relationship where the arguments never end in makeup ex? It's quite disappointing. Put an ad on Craigslist M4M. God, there are some weird fricks out there. Edit. Well, this got more attention than I'd hoped. Mutual JO but no gay stuff. I've never done anything terrible or manipulative, but when I was 16 I did use a cheesy pickup line that actually worked. It was awful, but DM, HS. I was out with a friend I had a crush on, and apparently she had felt the same way. But we're awkward teenagers and not sure how to handle it. Cloudy night, and she was grumbling about how the night sky was ugly. I told her it looks like this because all the stars ended up in your eyes, and it was on. Oh man, if I said that to my girlfriend she would make fun of me forever. Just checked with the girls I live with. This line will work. Have no shame. That's not cheesy, that's brilliant. On a 16-year-old girl, dude. How much pussy are you swimming in today? Went to a bar with my buddy, trying to break a dry spell. I start chatting with this girl and bought her a drink. Yada yada yada. She's into me and lives a few blocks away. But she's with her not so attractive, slightly plus size friend that is trying to break a dry spell as well. So, basically this chick is telling me that if I want her, my buddy has to hook up with her friend. So, it's 10 minutes of me begging my buddy to take one for the team and offering him whatever I can. Like a true bro, he eventually agrees. We go back to their place, get us eye time, and eventually make our way home. My buddy says it was the worst ex he ever had, and the worst part was her large Mickey Mouse tattoo on her stomach. As he was pounding her, the fat-filled tissue with the mug of his favorite childhood Disney character was jiggling around like a jello mold. I've owed him many a favor since that night. DM, HS. TL, DR. I begged my buddy to knock a 5 and have the worst ex ever so that I could end my dry spell. Edit. Spelling no tranny involved. That's one awesome wingman. Throwaway. So I had a fairly long relationship with a girl, about a year or more. Lots of ups and downs. Eventually I got cheated on. We broke up but she kept trying to keep in contact. Got back together, yes it was a mistake, then I learned about other cheating that happened before and broke it off again. So then she keeps trying to keep in contact, annoying me, showing up uninvited to parties. She's also managed to get in good with people I know. But anyway, by this time I've been single for a while and was out drinking. She was not of drinking age. Being drunk, dumb and horny, I texted her that I missed her. She shows up at the bar, I assume because she asked one of my friends where I was. So end up at my friend's house, go up to his video game room and proceed to put it in her butt. Next day she got all clingy, had breakfast with her and dropped her off at her place and then proceeded to ignore her except for telling her that I'm not interested in anything else happening. I felt a little bad, but I got closure, revenge, whatever you want to call it. TLDR, called up an ex who cheated on me so that I could put it in her butt. The old revenge pooper shot. Classic. I went home with a girl and she fell asleep. Her roommate woke up and asked who I was. Asked if we could watch a movie. She started blowing me. First girl woke up and saw it. Her roommate felt bad about finishing the blowjob there, so we left their room and finished. Edit, Mr. Line. Drunkenly cheated on a really great woman who was very much in love with me and I with her, who would be devastated if she found out, which she later did, ruining a great relationship for both of us. Totally random and pointless drunken stupidity and one of the worst things I've ever done. Aside from family, I don't think anyone has ever loved, cared about, and trusted me as much as her before or since, and I hurt and betrayed her worse than I had ever any other person, for nothing. I still remember the look on her face and the way she broke down when I told her. Almost 2 years later I regret it almost daily. Does everything I liked, wore, and said between then ages of 17 and 23 count? I don't regret this. I was fooling around with a girl and she had to leave for work soon. She got up to check the time on my computer and said we had enough time. My screensaver freezes the image when it turns on, so it was actually 20 minutes later. We finished. She got up and checked an accurate clock in confusion. I played dumb. Doesn't matter, had X. Edit, it was the bubbles one. My screensaver freezes the image when it turns on. That sounds like the opposite of a screensaver. Not particularly shameful but definitely the lamest. Wrote a note that said wanna bang? Yes equals smile, no equals backflip. We've been dating for 5 months, so I guess it worked pretty well. Married my ex-wife. Till guys are massive SS. I told this girl I'd take her to our formal if she climbed in my loft. Didn't take her to formal. I had the inverse happen to me. I was set up by a friend's girlfriend with one of her sorority sisters at the winter formal. I drove all the way from upstate NY to Boston to take her out, but when I did she was so hung up on some other dude she banged 2 weeks ago that she didn't talk to me the whole night, and I was just sitting there in a suit and tie talking to a bunch of people I didn't know because I didn't want to bother my friend and his girlfriend the whole time. I still had a good time though. Meeting new people is always fun even if the night doesn't turn out the way I had hoped. It was my junior prom night in high school and I went with my GF of 2 years. I was totally expecting to get laid no problem. Well, it became apparent that this wasn't going to happen by any conventional method because we got into a stupid argument as all high school couples do, and we argued into the wee hours of the night about whatever it was, and after we made amends, I assume it's time for the makeup ex. Wrong, she was too tired and still a little peered. She ends up going to sleep and I'm wide awake trying to decide on how I can get laid. I'm not sure how or why this worked, but hear me out. I stick her sleeping hand ever so carefully in my pants. Leave it in for a good 5 seconds, then get up as I'm getting ready to leave. Once she is awake I forcefully remove her hand from my pants and say something along the lines of, if you don't want me while we're awake then you can't try having me while you're sleeping, and she wakes up astonished and turned on that she had grabbed me in her sleep. That's when all bets were off and we were at it like high school kids. TL. DR equals prom. Argument. hand, pants, x, nice. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and leave a comment.